All right. Oh, you're there, man.
All right, you got me right.
I
Yeah,
do.
I'm doing on phone. I was trying to do it on my Mac here, but for some reason it won't connect.
Oh,
So
no
good to see you,
worries.
man.
You
Got a little
too.
crazy. It's like me, man.
Yeah, just not as long. Just not as
I know.
long.
This is
But
short. I actually cut about a foot off over the summer. So,
no way.
oh yeah, I had it ridiculously long.
Oh, I do admire the dedication, though.
Yeah.
I mean, like you gotta like really take care of that, right?
Nah, I'm lazy.
You're lazy with it.
I just no, I don't care. I just yeah, that's why I got it because I'm too lazy. So once every 6 months or so, I get like a guy to trim the sides for me, and then I just leave it alone.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, at
I
my
like
age, I
that.
don't care anymore. I've given up.
All Gen Xers, man. We all just like fuck it. Let's
Yeah,
roll.
I'm in my 50s now. I don't have to give a shit anymore.
Exactly. Exactly. That's for sure, man. So you good?
I'm
Everything's
good.
good?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I can't complain.
Excellent. Excellent. I mean, you guys are ripping it up over on Instagram.
We're doing all right. Yeah, we're slow now because we're writing, so we haven't been gigging at all. But that's part of the process, man. We're writing now, and hopefully by the summer we'll have something out so we can start doing gigs again.
So is this would be the second record, right?
Well, the second, well, I don't know because we only did one full length, and
Okay.
then we did like four EPs. So I don't know. In this, the way the industry is now, EPs just seem smarter. You know what I mean? Why put filler in? We could just do like 4 or 5 song banger and get it out there for people.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we just want to be creative. So, if we got the extra material, we could do a full length, but who knows? We never know when we start what we're going to end up with.
Right. There's always like, I mean, now probably because we're older, like I tried doing a second record back in '07, '08, and I only got half of it done because the friend I was that was helping me work the do the engineering and stuff, work the board. He just like got really busy and couldn't do the second half of the record, and I was just like, all right, well, I guess I'm left with what I got, which was 5 tracks, and
Yeah.
that and I just had to live with it. And I was just like, well, maybe someday I'll be able to complete it.
Yeah. Well, plus I play with guys who are far more active than I am. So
Oh, okay.
like I play with guys who go on tours and stuff and do pro stuff. So I also have to work around their schedules. So, that happens from time to time where, my singer who also like I play guitar in this band. So,
Right.
my singer and bass player, he'll get called by people to go on tour sometimes. And he'll be gone for like a few weeks or something. So we're just left in limbo. And then, you got to start back over again and get the ball rolling again. That's the same thing. The other guy in the band does. He plays in like an Elvis tribute, and they travel, and
Oh,
they're
really?
making far more money doing that than we are playing the metal. So, it's not bad. But I'm not going to be a rock star at this point. I'm just trying to have fun. So the pace is fine by me. I'm not in a rush.
Got it. Got it. So you're just like, I'll take it as it comes. If we
Yeah,
play
absolutely.
5 nights a week, that's fine. If we play one night every other month or whatever it is, that's fine too.
Yeah, we're far more selective about gigs now. In the early days of the band, we would play anywhere and everywhere. I mean, we were playing like we played at people's houses. We played like these rinky dink clubs, wherever we could. And
Right.
now it's like, why bother? Especially here in the Northeast, it's cold here, the snow and crap. It's like, you know what, dude, I'm not gonna book something just for the sake of booking something. If I'm gonna drive to Albany, New York, it's gonna better be something decent, like a festival show or something where there's gonna be a heck of a lot of people there, or playing with bands that we want to network with and stuff like that. It's just not worth it anymore to get out there just for the sake of playing. I could stay home and do that and be warm,
I agree. I agree. I mean, the last time I played a gig was in 2015 with this band, and it was like just kind of like a top 40 pop rock band, with a female singer and a male lead singer or whatever. Me and another guitar player. Um, I was just like, their other guitar player left, and I was auditioning to be in the band. And I played a couple gigs with them over the weekend, and they were just terrible gigs. Like the kind of gigs where you leave a piece of your soul off in the parking lot after you're done. Like we probably played one or two of those together back in
Back in
our
the day.
time. Yeah, yeah, exactly. And we'll get there. We'll get there. But um the second night they were like, "So do you want to join the band?" I'm like, "Oh, it's a hard pass for me."
Yeah,
So
at this point, you pick what you want to do. You don't have to do anything.
exactly, exactly. So after I got severe carpal tunnel syndrome, I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna play for me at this point. I don't want to play for somebody else. I don't want to be somebody else's Mick Taylor anymore. That's all I did in Virginia, man. Was just like I just got hired to be the light up guy, you know, band after band after band, and that was fine. It kept me very busy,
Yeah.
but now I'm just like, I would prefer to just go out and be Larry Soulcactus at this point.
Yeah, well, that's like when I first moved back to here, I was playing constantly. I had three different bands at one point, and that's I was playing as a bass player, and I was like every week out, and it was great. I was having a lot of fun. I had very different groups. I was playing with a punk rock group. I was playing with like a hippie thing, and I was doing like a big like an 8-piece funk band with the horns and the whole nine yards.
Wow.
And yeah, that was really fun, and we were having a great time. But then it's funny about the carpal tunnel. Now I didn't get it. I got tendonitis,
Oh,
not carpal tunnel. But the thing is, I was on a gig with the funk band. It was the last gig I ever did with them. The band leader calls out, "What is hip?" And we were playing an outdoor
awesome.
Oktoberfest show. Well, Connecticut in October could get pretty damn cold. And we were playing, it was like 40 degrees out, man. And I'm holding on for dear life. And she's like, guys, to everybody, take a solo, take a solo, take a solo. And my hand just ramped up on me. And I had
Yeah.
to claw. And so right after the gig, I go to the doctor and he's like, yo, you're beat at least 8 weeks. You cannot touch a bass. And so
Wow.
that's kind of how I ended up, retiring from bass for a while. And then, of course, I went back to it after a while, but I had to stop playing with that band because it was just too much work, and I wasn't able to do it physically without being hurt.
Right, right, right. I had to take probably a good couple years off where I just didn't do really any hand activity. Like they're like, yo, you gotta just like chill, like watch movies, read books, whatever. You gotta do something else that doesn't occupy your hands. And I'm like, well, can I do this? And they're like, no, you can't do that. And I'm like, well, how about this? They're like, no. They're like, you can watch something or read something. That's what you can do. If you want to go for a walk, you can do that.
Now, did you have to do the surgery?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I've had 4 hand surgeries, man.
Oh, wow. I know a couple guys who've gone through it, and they've been really successful, and
Yeah.
had a lot of luck with it. But the recovery time, you got to baby it. You can't just jump back out there. You're gonna just wreck it all over again.
Right, right, right. And that's the thing. Like, I had the first hand doctor, he kind of screwed me. He just told me, like, after I had the surgeries, that I was going to be like 90% better. And I totally wasn't. And he also told me that I could, like, resume, like, my playing activities after, like, a couple weeks. And I
Interesting.
was just like, that was so not the case. Everything this guy said was just couldn't have been further from the case. I went and got a second opinion because I had to have a trigger thumb fixed and I had to go to another hand surgeon for that. And that guy told me, which was my second opinion, like, dude, I would never have told you you could have a 90% recovery. He's just like, dude, you have severe carpal tunnel syndrome. You're never going to play at the level you are playing ever again. You need to wrap your head around that. He's like,
Wow.
I would never have promised you what this guy promised you. And so I believed the second guy who was right. And he did my second 2 hand surgeries. And that was okay. I wish he would have done the first 2. Live and learn.
Yeah, yeah. But that's what happens when we beat the heck out of ourselves when we're young, just wanting to be great, and then this
Well,
is what happens.
it is, I mean, the amount of playing that we used to do was a lot.
Yeah,
I mean, apart like outside the band, my days were spending time teaching guitar. And if I took a sub position teaching music class that day, I took my guitar with me.
yep, yep.
So just outside of our practice sessions or a gig, I was already playing like the other 8 hours in the day.
Yeah, no kidding.
So like that's why like I've told my my followers, my subscribers here on the channel, like you really don't need to be playing 8 to 12 hours a day to be successful at doing this. I think you could really probably do it in maybe 3 to 6 hours a day worth of commitment.
Yeah, and the primary thing that I've learned is you got to warm up well. I never used to warm up. Like I would, and especially like I said, living here now, if you don't warm up, you're going to get hurt because you're going from,
Yes.
right now it's like 5 degrees outside, and you go into a steaming hot bar, and then all of a sudden you just start getting right into the gig. There's, you're gonna get hurt.
Right. That's why I used to like have the three of us kind of do like a warm up jam
Yep, yep.
to sort of like get into our thing and kind of like find our footing,
Yeah.
because I mean one thing was to like we were always in different places. I mean like I think only a place like Minder Binders did we play more than once or twice. I
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah.
Do you remember that place?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. I remember that place. I remember where else do I remember? Um oh no,
Well,
I
the place.
can't. It wasn't Gibson's. What the heck was the name of it? It had the little outdoor stage and the indoor stage. I can't think of it. The last time I was in Arizona, as a matter of fact, I went there. I think it's under a different name now, though. Down in
I don't.
Tempe.
I don't remember that.
I remember we played like I think the first gig we ever did was there, as a matter of fact.
Oh, holy crap! Now I remember. Now I totally remember. Okay, that was I remember that first gig. We did that one with Chris, and we
Yes.
did our last gig with Chris.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
kind of we like bookend our career with him,
Yeah.
which
And I
was which
can't think
was
of the name of the
interesting.
bar though.
I don't remember the name of the bar though, but I remember exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yes, there was an indoor stage which we played on,
Yep.
and then there was a bigger outdoor area which the headliners played on.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
But
And
we were the first band on that bill.
yeah, that was like it's a small festival type thing. Yep.
Yes, yes, it was. I mean, there are a lot of I think God, I can't remember. I think there were like 5 to 10 bands on that
Yeah.
bill, and we were. I mean, we were on the poster. I still have the poster around here somewhere.
That's what I was thinking. I probably have one in my closet somewhere stored away.
So, I mean, I remember it was fun, and I remember after that, I was just like, I think I had a private conversation with you, and I was just like, "You're great. I'd love to have you come record my record with me, but your friend's not as solid." And
Yeah.
that was I liked Chris, but his timing was an issue, unfortunately.
Yeah, yeah, he wasn't a metronome guy.
Yeah.
He was very much somebody referred to him once as a gut bucket drummer. One of those guys who just played for fun and how he felt, but never like formally sat down and worked on his timing with the metronome. Which the rest of us that were practicing with metronomes, it kind of you
Right.
know I will say
Right.
this though. Um, he was such a good dude though. I loved playing with him because like how it is. A lot of times there are great players that are just it's hard to get along with. He was just one of those kids that was just a pleasure to be around, man. I still every once in a while I'll like talk to him or something online because
Oh, really?
he's oh yeah, every once in a while. Well, I have a sister who still lives out by you guys in Maricopa,
Oh,
and
that's cool.
yeah, she moved out there when I moved back here, oddly enough. But yeah, yeah, every once in a while, I'll check in on him, see how he's doing.
Nice. Well, the next time you see him or talk to him, tell him I said hello.
I will. I will.
I was just saying, I remember there was one time we had a jam with him at his house.
Yes, the mansion.
Yes, yes. And I remember like taking the elevator up to
Yep.
where we were jamming. And we actually that night, I remember like the jam was just incendiary. Like the three of us were just off the charts. I wish it had been recorded because
Uh,
it was really, really good.
yeah, I used to love playing up there. That's what he would do. Like that was that was a great thing, man. His parents, being so rich, would go on vacation every 6 weeks and leave the house. Might as well jam, in this huge mansion.
Yeah,
That and the whole atmosphere, having it, built into the side of the mountain and everything. That was a cool place to jam, and just the
very.
whole atmosphere.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Um, wow, such cool memories. Um, we can get. I want to get back to that because there's like a series of timeline events that you can fill in that I just cannot.
I might. We'll see.
Well, hopefully you can. Hopefully you can. But first. I'm just gonna ask you some random silly questions. All right.
Sure.
Um, favorite candy, like out of drugstore growing up or whatever, or the grocery store.
I have a serious addiction to Sour Patch Kids. I've since gotten better. I used to keep like the 2.5 pound bags in my
Holy
desk at all
crap!
times, and I started to get worried that I was going to get diabetes because you can't have that much sugar all day long. So now I'm allowed to have a little bit every couple of days, but that's my go-to candy all day long.
Holy crap! For as much time as we spent together, I didn't know that about you.
Yeah, well, that's a more recent thing in the last 30 years, I'd say. Because back then I couldn't afford candy if I wanted it when I was living out there.
Oh, that's too funny. All right. Favorite Saturday morning cartoon and cereal growing up.
Well, I grew up in a type of family where we were not allowed to have sugar cereals,
Oh,
so I had to have straight up Rice Krispies. Not that I wouldn't have rather had something better, but geez, Saturday morning cartoons. Oh God, going back to that. Well, I loved Shazam when that was on, which
I
was not
remember
really
that.
cartoon, but that was like in with the cartoons.
Right.
Um,
It was live action. Yeah.
yep, live action. Deputy Dog always ruled. Um, oh, geez, I don't know. Trying to think. So I used to love when they would the Justice League of America. That was a good one.
Well back when we were growing up, it would have been Challenge of the Super Friends. It just would have
Yes, yeah.
where it would have been like the Legion of Doom versus the Hall of Justice.
Yes, yes, yes. And they would have you. I
That
remember the
was
opening
badass,
sequence.
dude.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. So like on my Saturday morning streams, I've dubbed cartoons and serials.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it's a running thing.
Cool.
Uh, all right. Star Wars or Star Trek?
I would have to say I would have to go Star Wars. I do love Star Trek. I got no problem, but I try not to get into the middle of the fights because I have in my current band, my bass player actually has a Captain Kirk tattoo, and he is diehard Star Trek. And there are some episodes of that show I love from back in the '70s, but the one Star Wars had bigger impact on me as a kid, without a doubt.
All right. Well, that's the right answer for this channel, anyways. So, favorite curse word?
Oh well, there's so many wonderful ones,
I
um,
know.
and I have such a terrible problem with it. I'm not supposed to swear at all in my job, and unfortunately, it's been difficult to keep on the rest. But let's see, my favorite of them all. I love to say motherfucker, but I
Bingo.
like to use it in the Miles Davis sense, where it could fit in anywhere you want. It could be, it's not just anger. It could be praise. It could be like if you've ever read the Miles Davis book, Miles, like he uses that expression in so many different ways. It's ridiculous. It's hysterical, to be honest with you, but it's very
I
versatile when you use it like him.
Yeah. Well, I think Eddie Murphy uses it quite the same way.
Yeah. Yes.
And I've taken my cues from that, so I'm good with it. Awesome. He-Man or Thundercats?
Thundercats.
All right, that's cool. Favorite cocktail or beverage?
Well, currently Dunkin' Donuts coffee.
That's all right. That's an acceptable answer.
Well, I know because you guys out west are more Starbucks. Here in New England, we're a Dunkin', the Dunkin' part of the country, man.
Right, right. Well, we have Dunkin' out here. We've got this new thing actually called Dutch Brothers, and I like that far better than Starbucks.
Huh?
It's
Is it at
like
least cheaper than Starbucks?
well, it's more mom and pop
Okay,
than Starbucks. You get more for your money there, so you get a better bang for your buck
that's
going to
cool.
Dutch. So, um, last meal. Say it's your last day on the planet. What's your last meal you're eating?
Oh, geez. All right. Cream of crab soup flown up from Maryland with. I'm a soup guy, so I don't know, but cream of crab soup is definitely at the top of my list. But it's got to be from Maryland because they know how
Okay.
to do it down there.
Yeah, they
And
do.
then I would probably, geez, I'd have to go with a nice ribeye steak. I'm
Okay.
definitely a carnivore. Side dish, broccoli. Um, and for potatoes, maybe potatoes au gratin on the side there.
I like that. I like that a lot.
But the
All
soup
right.
would be key, man. That's
The
the
soup is the key. Okay.
yeah.
Sweet. Last funky query. Marvel or DC Comics?
Marvel.
All right.
Yeah, I've always, even when I was a kid, I was a Marvel guy. I don't hate DC, but Marvel always just had the cooler characters for me.
Agreed. Agreed. All right. Let's get down to the nitty gritty. First of all, I just want to say, hey, room, how you guys doing?
Hey, buddy.
Uh, Thank you guys for joining us this evening. Hey, Deborah. Hey, Yeti. Hey, William. Hey, Helena. How you guys doing? Hey, Loaf. Grayson, what's happening? All right. Thank you all for being here. All right. So Chris, what was your earliest like memory of music in your life? Like, what was the thing that kind of like said, "I like this"? Like, what was your earliest memory
It's
where
like,
music just
well, it's funny because this memory has um, been very close very much in the forefront of my mind in the last few months because it has everything to do with Ace Frehley. With Ace
cool?
passing, especially that was my introduction to rock and roll. Um, my introduction to Kiss in '76. I was only 6 then. That's why I own a Les Paul because of Ace Frehley, and that was the gateway, man. And even though, like I'll say this, I still love old Kiss, but even by the end of the '70s, when they were kind of getting to be more of a novelty thing, I
Right.
still credit them with putting me into rock and roll. So that led me to Sabbath and Aerosmith and everybody else that you know took me to becoming a player and everything. But it all really stems from the first time I saw Ace Frehley. It was done right there. That was just the coolest thing I'd ever seen in my life.
Well, I was saying earlier on the stream today, like the year that Kiss Meets the Phantom that was on TV,
Yep.
you couldn't escape Kiss that year.
Yeah.
I'm like, I got an Ace Frehley doll for Hanukkah Christmas that year. My friends across the street got an Ace Frehley doll. My cousin got an Ace Frehley doll. Everybody got Kiss dolls that we knew. You
Yep.
could not escape Kiss that year. I think it was like 78.
I think. Yeah, I think that was '78. Yep.
And when we were all on Christmas break, we all watched Kiss Meets the Phantom. And when
Yep.
we went back to school, that's what we talked about.
Yep. hmm The
And
whole name. We did the same
we
thing.
thought it was the coolest thing ever.
If you missed that movie when it first aired, man, you were just not cool, man, because that was
Exactly.
the rage.
E-
Yeah.
Exactly. You could not show up to school after break and not have seen that. You would not be cool.
That's right. And it's not like we had VCRs and stuff. So you say, "Oh, I taped it. I'm going to watch it later." You were beat if you missed it. Sorry, kid.
Exactly, exactly, exactly. That's too funny. Oh man. What was the Kiss record that when you were 6 years old that blew you away? Or
Well, the thing was, Destroyer had just come out, and then they were on the Paul Lynde Halloween special. That was where I saw my TV for the first time. So that like solidified it.
okay,
But yeah, Destroyer had been released, and a buddy, my parents' best friends, their son was a year older than I was, and he handed me Kiss Alive and was like, "You should listen to this, man." And that was the record that 'cause I didn't even know who they were before that. And then after the live album, then I started getting the records as they came out. And so Destroyer was like a big deal because it was so much better produced and whatnot. I don't, it's
yeah,
not my favorite Kiss record, but just it was leaps and bounds with the production on that. So it was such a great sounding record. And that's the one that, had their big first hit single. Then they were on television and things really started to open up for them with that record. But Live, Kiss Alive is the record that the first time I heard them was definitely that.
I had the 8-track tape of Hotter Than Hell.
Yeah, that's my favorite record of theirs. Yeah. Love that
And
album.
I used to listen to it with my babysitter back in the 70s.
Yep. Well, that's how I got turned on to a lot of stuff. My parents would sometimes hire the older teenage kid up the street, and my parents
Exactly.
had an awesome stereo. So, dude would
Yeah.
show up in my house with a stack of records, and we would just blast records all night while my parents were gone. That's how I heard ZZ Top for the first time, Foghat for the first time. All those great get Skinnerd. One More for the Road they played for me, and I didn't think anything of it at the time, but they were basically teaching me about great
Right.
rock and roll.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's too cool, man. So is there anyone else in your family besides yourself that's musically inclined? I'm curious.
Well, oddly enough, of my parents, no, but my father comes from a very large family, and every single one of the grandkids plays. We have
Okay.
like I have cousins who are our age in their 50s who still play out with their bands, like punk rock bands from like Brooklyn and Pennsylvania and stuff like that. So it's really weird, but my generation in my family everybody plays. And now, my own kids are starting to play. So, but as far as like before me, my father, my mother, none of those guys were musically inclined at all. They liked
But there,
music.
it is in your gene pool, though. It sounds
Oh
like.
hell yeah, yeah. If you look at any of us grandkids, we all play, and most of us, like I said, we're still doing it today, even though we're not kids anymore. We're like still actively performing stuff. So it's kind of cool.
That's amazing. That's very cool. I'm the only person in my family. I'm a wandering shepherd
Yeah.
looking for my flock. I think I found them, but anyways, so when did you like? Okay, so we know that you got a love for it. Like you're 6. When did you start? Or I guess meet the bass or guitar. How old were you then?
Well, that didn't happen till high school.
Okay.
I started as a drummer in fourth grade.
Okay.
So I played like this, just the regular marching band stuff. And I did that until ninth grade when I scraped up $100. A kid who sat behind me in English class, he had an extra guitar he wanted to get rid of. He's like, for $100, I'll sell you this Ibanez. And so I got my first guitar in ninth grade. And then I didn't, it's funny because I was a guitar player until pretty much 18 or 19, and a buddy of mine was like, listen, I need a bass player, I'm putting this band together, if I get you a bass, will you play? And I was like, yeah, whatever, dude, I got nothing going on. And it just suddenly I started playing, and it just felt natural. I was like, whoa, why haven't I been playing this the whole time? And that's when I just started like really shedding it and working on getting better on that instrument. And kind of guitar kind of took a back seat, and I left it alone for like 20 some odd years before I actually picked one up and started playing seriously again.
Wow. I had no idea. Did you take private lessons, or were you self-taught on guitar and bass?
No, I took lessons when I was a
Okay.
kid, to a guy who still has a music store in Connecticut right now. And then I went to college and I studied at university level. But I was I was a college kid, so I didn't take it nearly as seriously as I wish I had. I was a little bit of a party animal, and
Okay.
my playing obviously suffered because of that. But then I continued even when I was living in Arizona. When I was playing with you, I was taking slap bass lessons from Ray Rendow, who at the time was playing with Rob Halford from Judas Priest band, and he had a house in Phoenix, and he was playing Judas Priest stuff for a living, but is a slap bass master on par with like a Victor Wooten. So
Okay.
he was teaching me how to do all that stuff because I had never learned how to do that. And nobody I'd studied with was a slap guy. They would all teach me like, here's your arpeggios, here's your scales, and not that kind of style, which is funny because now I barely play like that ever anyway. So but it
Right,
was fun
right,
at the time to learn that stuff.
right. So were you still learning that while we hooked up,
Yeah.
or had you?
Yep.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yep.
I had
But
no idea.
yeah, but your band was no place for that was not gonna fly in the blues, man. That would have sounded ridiculous.
No, but I mean, there were certainly times for you to like, do whatever you wanted to do, wasn't there?
Yeah,
I
but
thought,
that's
I
really
thought there
that like
was.
that while that style is fun to play and everything, it's really gotta have its place or it just stands out like a sore thumb. Like I see a lot of guys who play that way, and a lot of times for me it's a turnoff. It's like they're trying too hard to get noticed. It's not your job. You're the bass player. You're supposed to be the foundation that lets the soloists do their thing. That's your job, is to support them. And a lot of guys I'll see them like, and if you're Victor Wooten, that's what we paid to see. But if you're the guy at Jim Bob's bar down the street, nah, dude, stick with the drummer, man. Play the Leonard Skinner tune and shut up. We don't hear it.
One I gotta tell you, speaking of that and that in your philosophy there, one of the coolest bass solos I ever heard when like, Steve Ray Vaughan would go around and introduce the band, and this was like I think shortly after he got cleaned up. I have a show from Philadelphia where he's introducing the band and he introduces Tommy Shannon. And Tommy just, he doesn't do anything like that's really like mind blowing or whatever, but he just lays down like this cool ass rhythm lead bass line.
Mhm.
Like it's no big deal, but it's the coolest sounding thing. But it's not like a real like it's not like John Entwistle fucking flipping out on the bass.
Yeah.
It's just like this, doo, 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 doo. It's like, dude, were you on the Fat Albert record or what, man? It's sort of like that, and I was just like, dude, that's how you do it, man.
Yeah, that's keeping the groove. You don't let the groove
Exactly,
thing show off. You got to keep it in there.
exactly. He was locked in with Leighton,
Yep.
so that's totally cool.
Cool.
All right. I had no idea that you did all that instruction and tutelage and
Oh yeah.
education.
Yeah, yeah, and it's where it drives me crazy. I wish I had known then what I know now and taken more advantage of it. If I could look back, that's one thing I regret is I wish I had spent more time shedding and less time partying. If I took all the time that I was out partying trying to meet chicks and put that into practicing, I would probably not have a day job right now.
Well, what? Okay, so all right, so I know when I turned 21, like the week I got invited out to sit in with my friend's R&B band. I mean, it's like the minute I turned 21, I was out there going at it. So I'm curious, what was it like for you when you hit 21?
Well, the good thing was um, the bars in Connecticut at the time, they would allow you to come in and play at 18.
Oh, really?
Obviously, yeah, you couldn't go near the bar and you had to like wear a special wristband so they knew what was up. But we didn't really gig the bars much anyway. But as soon as I was 21, it just so happens that a brand new rock and metal club opened up in Waterbury, Connecticut, and that became the great thing was they did shows Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So we used to do almost every Wednesday night. We used to do the early the weeknight. But at
Right.
21, I didn't care if I was out on a Wednesday till closing. And
No,
that was
absolutely.
really a great opportunity. I mean, before that, we did like, VWs and crap like that. I played, what I played was like the Italian Heritage Club in town and stuff like that. Parties. But yeah, 21, there were some bars we got to play. But again, with the kind of music I was playing then, which I was playing mostly punk rock then, um,
Okay.
there was only a handful of clubs really to play anyway in Connecticut. We would have to go down and play like CBGBs in the city and stuff like that, which was fun, and I loved that experience too. But here, there wasn't. There were a few clubs, but um, a lot of the punk clubs had shut down by then.
Yeah. Yeah. I could see that. I could see that being like, oh, about the same as the blues clubs that came and went here. There once were like, I don't know, half a dozen of them. Now there's just the Rhythm Room. That's the only one
Rhythm,
that's left. Yeah,
yeah.
that's the last one.
We also used to do a lot of gigs on the college campus. They would, we would do like they would have like a certain night for one of the campus organizations, and they'd have a bunch of bands play, and they'd bring us out for that. We wouldn't make a ton of money, but we would get to like kind of get our name out. They would have Ballad of Bands stuff there. We would do all kinds of stuff like that. We used to. What was really fun. This was a great thing, because I went to college at a town that's right near the border of New York and Connecticut.
Oh, okay.
So there was this bowling alley in upstate New York, in Carmel. It was Carmel, New York, I think. That was called oh, jeepers, the name escaped me. Oh my god, we used to play there almost every Sunday night. They would have live rock, and we would like, and they don't even start to like 11 and go to like 2 or 3. And oh, the Briar Patch, that was it, the Briar Patch, and it was a bowling alley by day, and then they would open up the bar area, and they had a great stage in there. They had a great sound system, and we would go there and play there as much as we could, to the point where we were fixtures. Like, we never had to pay for anything there. We were there. We would bring other bands with us, and we became almost like a regular thing there all the time. That was fun,
That's
and then we could tell
that's
people we played in New York a lot. So
yeah. Well, okay. So where'd you go to college at then?
in Danbury, Connecticut, Western Connecticut State University.
Oh, okay. That's cool. That's cool. I went down in Tucson at U of A,
Okay.
and then so there the bars were a lot more I guess infrequent. There were only like a handful of places that someone like me could go out and play. There was like maybe one or two sort of dedicated blues clubs there, and then the other places were like kind of classic rock type joints.
Yeah.
So that it was fine, like for the classic rock thing. It was fine if like you were friendly with the band and the band invited you in to play,
Yeah.
you know. But for like if you just wanted to go like to an open mic or whatever, you went to the blues club and you just signed up on the Sunday night or the Monday night whenever they did it.
Yep.
Just like up in Phoenix, no different
Yep.
when you were here.
Yeah. We
um
seen Joe's Garage. That
yeah,
was
Joe's
the open
Garage.
mic night.
I'm pretty sure Joe's Garage is long gone.
I would imagine.
Oh, that's cool. Let's see. So, what brought you out to AZ then? After
Well,
school?
yeah. Well, what was going on here was like I've been doing the punk rock thing here, and I was kind of getting over it. I wanted to do something more, and Connecticut was very clicky at the time, and so there were a lot of great bands, but they were so solidified at that point that I was really struggling to find musicians to play with. Um, to want to do something different. Everybody was either taken or they were really not as serious. So,
Right.
thinking about it, like I was like, well, Arizona's warm. I'm tired of the snow. I need a new, I was, early 20s. I wanted to just experience something new. And like, I was at a point in my life where I really had nothing to lose. So I
Right.
figure if I go out there, you got, a decent sized city in Phoenix. There's got to be musicians around looking to play. And I would just go out there and really just see what I can find. And, when I first moved out there, first thing I did was I got the New Times, and went right to the back and just started calling people like, "You need a bass player? I'll audition, I'll audition." And I went on a lot of auditions when I first got there. And
I
it was
bet.
really, it was a struggle because I found a lot of people were just like, everybody wanted to be a rock star.
Yeah.
And that was going to be tough for me. I'm like, no, I don't want to play Stone Temple Pilots ish music. I don't want to play what the new hip thing is.
Right.
And so, and at the time I was also transforming and playing less metal and more like dead stuff and hippier music and expanding my horizons and trying to learn, different things that weren't metal and punk rock. And so, then I ended up hooking up with the guys where I met Chris, who were doing like a Pink Floyd type thing, like almost like a heavier Pink Floyd thing, but it was all originals. And
So, when was that exactly?
that
Do you remember?
was that was probably a year prior to us playing with you. So
Okay.
that was probably 97, I want to say.
Yes, because
Maybe 96. Well, I think, did I play with you in 97 or was it 98?
98. We
98,
start
yeah,
we
98.
started we started rehearsing after we did that first gig. We did like 1 week of rehearsals
Yeah,
for going into the recording
yeah, that's
studio and
right.
recording meeting you.
Yep.
And then um I remember when I auditioned Chris by himself
Yep.
because I was working with a bass player who um I kind of like formulated a lot of the songs with, and I just like it really. He was a good friend of mine, and I had to like have a serious talk with him. Are you going to be able to play live? That was a concern with me with him with this guy, and I said you need to let me know now because you're going to have to play live if you want to be in this band. He's like, I can't. I'm like, there's no shame and you saying no to me, I can't do it. I'm not going to think any less of you. But in order for me to see this to fruition, I need to know this and I need to know it right now. Because I said when I auditioned Chris, he was just like, I have a bass player if you need a bass player. And I was just like, let me get back to you. And I remember, I think it was like we were going into the summer. If I remember correctly, it was like Um, sort of like sometime over the summer, maybe of '98, because we recorded in the fall of '98.
Okay. All right.
Like it was we were going from October, late October into November, and the thing was like being mixed, mastered, and then sent off to be packaged and then returned to me. I think we got it back at the beginning of '99. And we were continuing to play behind it, and but I mean, like, that's my recollection of the way that the events transpired.
Yeah, well, that does sound right because that's how I met Chris in that other band. Um,
Right.
he auditioned for that band because we were looking for a drummer, and I later learned, this is an interesting tidbit about that. I later found out that the only reason why he auditioned for that band was because he and his other buddy were looking to poach bass players because he had a guitar player buddy who he wrote songs with, and they were looking to poach a bass player for their band. So he was auditioning for bands looking to find somebody to steal later on down the line. And he ended up enjoying playing with us and stuck with us for a while. And then the other kid went by the wayside. And then whenever Chris would meet somebody, he'd say, "Hey, I got this other guy to come with." And we did like tons of gigs together, he and I, which was, like I said, it was really fun. But yeah, that sounds about right. Now, I correct me if I'm wrong, because I have this recollection in my head of us doing the release party at the Cajun House in Scottsdale with the drummer.
Oh my God! Yes,
Now,
with Randy Walker.
yeah, the guy who played on the record, right? All right.
Yes.
Here's my thing though. Was that on the anniversary? Was that the day the Columbine shooting happened? For some reason, I have it in my head that night, that was the night that Columbine had happened during the day. And I remember this band opening for us that was like a bunch of teenagers. And the kids were really like, it was a really like, they were really bummed out. And I remember talking to some of the kids about it after, if I remember correctly. I have this vision in my head of that, but I don't honestly know if I'm taking multiple dates and squishing I don't know.
I don't know. I remember the Cajun House thing well because I've already discussed that gig. Well, I've already discussed Randy Walker on the channel. Because I've had a couple subscribers tell me that they were like big fans of his. I didn't know that, and then it came up, and they're like, "Wait, you played with Randy Walker, the guy from Mika and the Souls? He's out on like with Chicago right now, or somebody else as you know their drum roadie, their head drum roadie or whatever. He's not playing drums with them."
Oh,
And I was just like, yeah, that I played. I hired that guy to play on my record with me, and I hired him to play a couple shows. He did a couple shows with us.
okay. I remember
The
that one
thing,
vividly, but I'm not sure. I don't remember any yet.
the Cajun House, he had the CD for it, but he still didn't like bother to
Learn this.
learn. Yeah, which really sent me through the roof. I don't know if you remember that or
Well, I
not.
remember he wouldn't rehearse with us. He didn't have time to rehearse. So
Right, right. And he just didn't do it then, but he did it out to us at another gig out at some other bar that we only played once.
hmm.
Um and that was more cumbersome because it was three sets. And our set at the Cajun House was just a set.
Yeah, yeah, yep.
And it not only was it like our CD release, but it was also like a battle of the bands. I don't know if you remember that part of it. It just wasn't us and the one or two bands that opened prior to us. We were like in the middle.
Yeah. Oh, that. Yeah, that's where the kids was. That must be where the high school kids were. One of the bands that was on that. That was all right. That makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. I remember when we got done, like a lot of the bands that watched us were very impressed with
Yeah,
us.
I do remember that.
That much I remember. They were like, "Whoa."
Yeah, they didn't expect to see that.
No, I mean it was just like and the other thing I remember about it, you you were on my left side and you really felt like you were on another stage. You
Because
really felt
yeah, I was on the
far
other side.
away
You
from
do
me.
it. Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that was the furthest away we had ever been together.
Yeah,
And
on the bigger, yeah. And that wasn't my normal side. Or we were used to practically being on top
oh
of each
yeah,
other.
we were used to the reverse. So our equilibrium was all fucked up that night. So yeah, it was definitely a comedy of errors that night, for sure. But despite of all that, it still came off well, which is
Oh yeah.
amazing. So I don't know if that's like a bigger testament to you or myself. I don't think to Randy.
No.
I'm not gonna give him the credit. Fuck
Yeah,
that.
we held it down. We took care.
We were tight.
We were all right. Because by that point, you and I had been playing together a lot with different
Oh
drummers.
God.
So
But
I think you got to look at it that way. At that point, I think because like Chris was gone at that point, and you had a bunch of other dudes. I remember when we went through the drummer audition process, and
oh
we had
my
all
God.
these dudes, and
Yeah.
some were cool, some were kind of assholes, and but we had worked with so many different drummers that I think we kind of got used to being able to hang together and just all right, this guy will keep the beat and we'll work around it. We kind of it tightened us up having to deal with the different personality behind us all the time.
Yeah. Because if we didn't have it together, oh boy, that was going to be really tough for us. So yeah, we were tight. And then, do you remember the one African American guy that came and auditioned with us? He like he said he wanted to like take us and go to Vegas and play shows with us. He pulled up in like a Caddy or an Eldorado. He
Hmm.
seemed like he was on blow.
I don't remember.
He
Was that
played.
when
We played really fast, dude. Like every song we played with this guy was super, super fast.
and that's when we were still auditioning at the Boys and Girls Club, right? I
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
that sounds familiar. Yeah,
yeah. He
I think we
came.
talked about the fact that we thought he was fun, that he was going too fast with everything.
Yeah, he was just like super, super fast. I was just like, wow, this guy has to be on blow.
Well, he also had like a million, like he already had us like touring, like he had all these ideas of what we're gonna do and all that. Like we weren't even through like the third tune, and he's already got us on the bus traveling Europe and all. He had all these notions of what we can do this, all that. Yeah, very kind of a ADHD situation,
Oh yeah, he was out there. He was out there like his train not only had left the station without him, it was gone to Pluto by that. Like he needed to catch up a few planets. I was like, whoa, this ain't the guy for us.
Yeah, we were
And
way
then
too mellow for that. That was not gonna
yeah,
cut.
yeah. Like I think like when he left, I think you and I were like, that guy kind of scared us.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
A little bit, a little bit. Um, then I think it was like a couple days later. I think we got lucky, a little lucky with Anthony for a little while.
Yeah, for a little while. We had that other guy too that did one gig and then got all pissed off and he got all angry with us. Said we were on left. He was really bent out of shape. That we did one show with him at Hits, that bar, and like he had just moved to Arizona. So but he was really upset that we didn't. I forget. I think because I was smoking a cigarette on stage or something like that, or I don't know. He had all kinds of problems with the way we played. I know he was all bent out of shape, and afterwards he got all pissed off and left. So I'm not playing with you guys anymore. Like a skinny guy with longer hair. He was
You know, I was that the place that was just like overloaded with neon and shit inside.
well, it was, but the best thing I remember about them is they paid with the till. We got a percentage of the till for that joint. That was badass because as long as they're drinking, we're getting paid.
God, I don't remember that at all. Was that was that also the night that you brought Tara and Jen out? Or was that a different time?
No, because that would have been that was a different time. Yeah,
Okay. Okay. Um I know like they were at a couple different gigs.
yeah. Um, Actually, I think that was a Minder Binders gig that they came to the first time.
That was I know that was one of them, but I mean they were at a couple different ones besides that.
Yeah, I don't remember now. 'Cause I know they came to that one. Yeah, the hits place we played there. Nobody came to see us there. There was another bar though, a little one.
That nobody came to see us.
Yeah, well, there were
There were
people at the
quite a
bar,
few of
like
those.
nobody came out that we brought, but when people actually went out to bars to see bands, unlike today. Um, but I'm trying to think of where else we had played that they might. There were I can picture the rooms in my head. I just can't remember the names of the places.
Well, you know, I got I got pictures from the last one we played with Chris,
And that
which
was when
was
the guy wasn't that the one that Anthony decided to blow us off the last minute? And
no,
Chris filled
but
in.
that was there. That was at that same bar that Anthony blew us off. It took me like a week to 2 weeks to track him down to get like answers.
Really?
Yeah, I had to like call him like every day for like a week, and finally he left. And I was just like, "Why didn't you show up at that gig?" And he was just like, I don't care. Go fuck yourself." I was,
Well,
I
that's
was
really
like, "Whoa, dude." Yeah, he had some issues.
that was the same bar though that we did that Halloween gig at. That was awesome.
That's this gig that I'm
Oh, that
showing
was
up the
okay. Okay.
photos.
I
Yeah,
remember that gig. That was fun.
yeah, this one.
All right. Yes. Yeah.
Um, Here, let's see. I got some other pictures in here. from that gig. But that was a fun gig. My friend Rod came out and jammed with us. If you remember that.
I don't remember. I don't remember that.
Yeah. Let's see. Here's the guy was like dressed like Moses or whatever.
Yep, I remember that. Yep.
And then got a few more snapshots here.
I remember there was one guy dressed up as like a really, really tall Grim Reaper who kept
I
coming out
remember
telling me
that.
we were playing, and he would like stand behind you when you were taking a solo.
Here, we got a group photo jamming at the bar.
Nice. Back when I
Mhm.
had hair.
Yeah. So, yeah, good times, man. And
Fun.
I got a few of those videos posted from Minder Binders.
I know. I saw them. I look like somebody who hasn't eaten in a month. I'm so skinny in those pictures. Like, holy macaroni.
Too much
Uh,
flour back then, brother.
that's before I hit 30 and bulked up. You know?
Oh, that's cool. Um, so you hooked up with Chris. You guys were playing for a year. He auditions with me, and my bass player bails. I'm like, yeah, bring your buddy along. And I don't remember where the three of us played the first time together.
Oh, the Boys and Girls Club.
Oh, was it?
Yep. Yep. That's where you guys auditioned me. Yep.
Okay, okay. I couldn't remember. So we did at least have one rehearsal before that first gig, right?
Yeah, we did a couple, if I remember correctly. You
Okay,
give me tapes. I remember, as a matter of fact, I still might have some of the cassettes lying around here somewhere of all
that's
the tunes
hysterical.
you had me learn the Soulcactus tapes. Because you gave me one to start with, and I know we rehearsed a couple times before that first one, and then we started practicing. I think like 2 nights a week, if I remember correctly, down at the Boys and
Um,
Girls Club, something like that. I think at least one night
we
a week.
did we did three actually.
Really, was that much?
Yeah, we would do Monday, Tuesday, or we would do Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, and try and play somewhere sometime over a weekend.
Yeah.
And that would be the routine. So we would play like 3 or 4 nights a week. Um, I think during later on it became more like instead of four, maybe it was five. It just depended on how many gigs there were.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
then
At this point, we were playing a lot more. So
I think like towards the end where things were just getting like tiresome and we were all just getting burnt, I think we just cut back to like a couple nights a week, and then we just kind of like I'm just like I'm gonna call it because I was just extremely fried from just everything, booking gigs, the bullshit with the rotating drummer all the time.
yeah,
I mean, people really don't understand what a grind that is just to like have to deal with that kind of a drummer situation. I
yeah.
mean,
You can't book unless you have a solid lineup, and then if you can't depend on people, then it's that's why I'll be honest with you. That's the one thing I never could do as a musician is the self promotion, the management part of it. Like I don't book any gigs now. I don't. That's not my wheelhouse, man. I show up when you want me to. I'll be as dependable as hell, but I don't want to deal with any of that managerial stuff. You know?
and like for me, I was just like, that's fine. It's not a problem. Like that works for me.
Yeah.
I'll take care of that other stuff that you don't want to deal with. That's fine. But like, you know, I like you being part of the creative process and everything. Like, I wasn't. You could do your own bass lines on all the songs. I wasn't like you need to do what my buddy was
Yeah. No.
doing. I think I like gave you like some of the demos as a guideline and said, you can either do what he did or do something with it more or less. I didn't care as
Yeah.
long
I
as
pretty much. I think there was only one song Out of the ones we recorded, we were like, yeah, I recorded. I went at it the first time, and both you and the engineer were just like, nah, dude, you're doing too much. Back down. And then I just laid in the pocket and kept it simple, and it fit perfect. I forget. I can't remember off the top of my head which tune it was, but there was definitely one. And then like my second go at it, I took all the fluff out of it and it nailed it.
Did you enjoy that? Did you enjoy that your time in the recording studio with us?
Absolutely.
I,
Yeah,
I was
I've
just
always loved
curious
the studio.
because
Yeah,
you
the
know,
studio is a great. I love being in the studio. I love the whole art of capturing something for prosperity, and capturing that moment in time. It's just that's really where that nowadays that's where my heart lies more so than gigging.
yeah,
For me, creating and writing and recording and stuff is really the fun of music for me now. The getting in the car and driving and not coming home till 3 o'clock in the morning and all that stuff. That's kind of lost its luster after a while. It's been too many
yeah,
years of that crap.
eh, yeah. I mean, like, there's a part of me that misses it, and then there's a part of me that doesn't miss it. I miss jamming with a group,
Yeah, yeah,
but I don't miss going and playing 3 1-hour sets.
yeah.
I mean, if I could, like, I keep telling my followers, like, if I could go and do it live and just play 2 1-hour sets and preserve my hands and not and have control over what we play because it's my band, that would be one thing. I would do that, but I wouldn't want to do it every night
Yeah.
because that would be too much for my hands.
Yep.
But like if I could do it like one night on, one night off, I think that would be all. I think I could do that.
Yeah. See, that's right. The way we roll now, doing original material too. It's especially like the longest set we do is 45 minutes. And
Love it.
that's it. We go in, we do our 45-minute set. We're always on the bill with other bands. So it's fun. And we get a lot of cool opportunities. So it's nice. But when I was doing the funk thing, we were doing the 3 hour sets a night, and we did a lot of traveling with that band. We would play, every nook and cranny of New England. And the playing part was awesome, but dragging the equipment out and dragging it home and just all the driving. Sometimes we would drive, hours for the gig. By the time you get home, it's morning already. It's just that whole aspect of it. As wonderful it is to get the jam, especially when that was like this huge 8-piece band. Um, the whole work part of it. At the end of the day, it's a hard trade off.
I agree. It is a hard trade off. I mean, like, think about where you lived in relation to where you had to come practice with me versus where we had to end up playing, which was mostly Tempe, Mesa. It wasn't in Scottsdale, wasn't where you lived.
Yeah,
No, it was in a different burb.
yeah,
And they weren't close, man. And like, Phoenix is a big spread out place.
yeah.
So like, I was lucky if we had a gig that was only like maybe 25 minutes away. That was doing well. But I mean, most of the time, I think the average was like driving 30 minutes at least to a gig.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's still the same way it is now. Because I live a little bit off the beaten path. I'm driving at least between a half an hour to an hour to get to any gig I do now too. And in some cases, like, geez, we did a gig over the summer down in Maryland, so I had to drive 5.5 hours to that gig, stay over for the weekend. But it's one-offs like that are fun. I couldn't do that every weekend though. The hell with that traveling all the time like that. But
Yeah, well, see, that was the thing. I was never gonna take us to Tucson or to Flagstaff. First of all, I had a roster full of guitar students, so I wasn't about to like shift my days around to for us to go play an overnight in Tucson or Flagstaff. Like, no. Um, Plus, I had been down that road before. I wasn't interested in doing that unless it was going to be a real tour and we were going to have a bus and travel and that kind of shit. I had no interest in being like, all right, I'm gonna rent the Winnebago and I'll pick you guys up at one
Yep.
o'clock and we'll be on the road on I-10. No, thank you. The gig's 30 minutes away. I'll see you later tonight. Bye. That's funny. That's too funny. So do you remember when I gave the bad news to Chris? Was I'm sure he couldn't have been like overly joyed about it.
Yeah, but he was a mellow guy. Like he never like got really pissed off or anything about it. He was like, whatever. I mean, he was still playing with other a couple of his other buddies. So it's not like he stopped playing or anything. But at the time too, he had he had his social life and all that stuff. So I don't think it really. I mean, he had a great life, man. I mean, the kid.
I remember he had his girlfriend and he was playing with Tony and
That's right, yeah. And then I actually got pulled into that band eventually. Before I left Arizona, that's what I was playing with those guys.
oh, okay.
And
That's
what
is
was the
it,
record Heat?
oh, okay. So that's what you did after we were done? Is you
Yep,
wound
yep.
up playing
He,
back with
he,
Chris?
yeah, he pulled me into that one, so I did that for a while. That was fun, but um, couldn't sustain. Too shall we say, outside influences got in the way there, and so that wasn't my bad. I didn't want to deal with that kind of crap. So I'm like, all right, I'm going back
Yeah.
to and
Different from like the sober shift of Larry Soulcactus, right?
yeah, yeah, it was not nearly as treated as professionally. It was a lot more like, well, we could play today, or let's go to the package store. And I'm like, no, we need to, we need to. They're working on because remember, these are in the old. This is in the old days of when Pro Tools just came out and stuff like that. And of
Yeah.
course, it was amazing that Tony had the whole rig at home. But like, just because you can record doesn't mean you know what you're doing. You can everybody can have Pro Tools, but there's a reason why people go to professional studios. And
Yeah.
that was a little bit of a problem because I still, they were looking at it like this is just like going into a professional studio, and I was no, as someone who had been in professional studios, I was like, absolutely not. That's not. We're not going to create the product we want messing around just turning knobs, which you learn that way, but you don't want to put out records that way. That's good for demos and
Right.
projects, but you want to go to somebody professional to put out a final product, and that wasn't the attitude that they had.
Yeah. Yeah. See, like for me, I would definitely want to go somewhere. I would.
Hmm.
Just because of our past experience
Yeah.
and you know how methodical I am about everything, or should I say anal retentive.
Well, either way, you know what you want, and you want to make sure there's somebody who can produce that for you.
Yeah, I mean, look, I would have no qualms going back to Happy Camper Studios and recording another record there. I love those guys, and they
Yeah.
were so easy to work with, so easy to work with, and it was great environment, and it was comfortable. It was comfortable for me. I hope it was comfortable for you.
It was. And they used metronomes and tuners and things like that. And, it wasn't just like, it's in tune, kind of. I'm going to record now. No, it was not like, that was, one of the problems, we were facing at the other one. I was like, no, dude, you gotta have timing. You need a metronome going. You
The
gotta play
click
with
track.
click.
Yeah, the click track. I remember when I went in to record. I had recorded with Dimitri's brother Thanos before, and when I went in to record with Dimitri, he was like, and this is before you got there because I did all the rhythm tracks before you and Randy set foot in this studio. He's just like, "Do you have any problems playing to a click track?" I'm like, I looked at him like, kind of like,
What do you mean? Of course I
why?
can.
Why? Like, why would you ask that of me? Of course I can. He's just like, because musicians are intimidated about it. I'm like, no, man, just hit it. I'm like, that's my heartbeat, man. I want to hear it. Let it roll. I was never intimidated by the click track at all.
Well, there are people who have spent time practicing with metronomes and people who haven't. So, those are like a lot of times I've seen a lot of guys who's, oh, no, no, it stifles my feel and all this. But what that really means is I've never practiced playing in time before, and I know it's gonna it's gonna cause a problem. It's gonna cost money. So they're like, no, I'm gonna do it free form. And like, fortunately, like the drummer I record with now, we do everything to a click, and that way there at the end of the day, when if there's a mistake or something like that, it's much easier for the producer to say, okay, this is exactly the spot, bam, and we can nail punch-ins a lot easier, and then
I was
overall
gonna
everything's
say,
more polished.
punching in is a lot easier.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Hey, you guys, what we mean by punching in is we mean by like going in and doing an edit. If we go back to the song the next day or whatever and we decide like, you know what, we need to fix that, we can punch in at that specific point at that specific time because the click track is there and we have something that we can see exactly where that measure is, what count it is. It could be measure like 227, just throwing something out for example, but it doesn't matter, we can get in at 227 measure and punch it in right there and do our new recording edit and then punch out at 230 because we have that marker.
And it'll sound clean. It
Exactly.
won't be clunky.
Exactly. But if we didn't have that marker there, then forget it. It's going to be a lot more difficult to punch in and out of that time, right? Yeah, exactly. All right. Let's see. So, what year was it when you picked up and moved back to Connecticut from AZ?
2000 is when I came back.
Oh, it's two. Okay, so it was like when I basically opened up Soulcactus Sound. Excuse me for 1 second. Oh, that's cool. So what took you back to Connecticut? You were just like, I'm done with AZ. I haven't done what I want to.
Well, I turned 30 and that kind of changed everything. So I started to look at like, all right, what do I really want out of my life? Do I want to be, living paycheck to paycheck, having to work odd jobs in order to keep playing music? And, it's not like I was suffering really, but I wasn't living high on the high. I wasn't making a career. It wasn't happening. So I said, all
Right,
right, what do I really want out of life? I want a nice home. I want a family. I want all that stuff. So I said, all right, being a freelance musician is not going to do this for me. I want a paycheck. I want a retirement plan. I want health benefits just in case, God forbid, something happened.
right,
So, that was kind of like the catalyst. And I had got my heart broken right at that point, too. So I was like, enough with this crap. I'm going to boogie on. So I came back here. And it's funny, within 5 hours of entering the state, I was on a stage playing Bob Dylan covers with an old friend of mine. I just called the kid. I was like, "Hey, I'm back." He's like, "Show up here. You're jamming." So I sat in for a bunch of dudes with them that night. But yeah, it ended up working out for the better. And I went back to school when I got here. Not right away, but I worked a couple of jobs, like career-esque jobs, and it just
right,
wasn't working. So I said, "I'm back here. Let me crash at my parents' house for a year and go back to school and figure out a new life so I can make the whole, you know, stable life happen and not worry about, starving to death."
right. So what'd you end up doing then?
Well, when I got here, I started working in a sheet metal factory.
Oh, okay.
And I was doing heavy labor, like lugging around 4x8 sheets of steel. It was fun, but even after like a year of it, my body was already starting to feel the
I
ramifications of
bet.
it. So I went back to school and got my teaching degree.
Oh, okay.
But oddly enough, I got nervous because at that point in time, music programs were getting cut all over the place.
Yeah.
So I actually have a degree in English as well.
Oh, okay.
So I said to myself, if I'm going to go down the teaching route, man, nobody ever cuts English programs.
No, they do
So
not.
so that's what I'm doing for a living now. I'm teaching high school English.
Oh, that's fantastic, dude. That was wicked smart.
Well, you know what's the great thing about it is it's offered me some pretty badass opportunities to play. As
I
a matter of
bet.
fact, I played at the school yesterday.
Oh, you
They
did.
gave us like a special like jam set they gave us a special segment of the day to choose something we like to do in our own time and then like introduce it to the kids. So I said, "Yo, I'm having a jam session." So there was another teacher who plays keys, another teacher who plays drums. So we just had a jam session with a bunch of the kids and stuff. So it was a lot of fun. But the best thing is we have a musical theater program at the school. And for years, they never had a bass player. So they would, once they found out, they would just keep coming to me. And say, Mr. Begnal, we need you to play this year. We're doing All Shook Up, the Elvis musical, or we're doing The Wiz, or we're doing Susical. And the great thing is, I'd never played music, Broadway show music before in my life. And I really never practiced my reading chops. And if anything is going to like get your reading chops up to snuff, it's playing that stuff. And
Yeah.
it challenged the hell out of me. But
Yeah.
every year they do like I would rehearse my ass off and we do like 3 nights of shows. And every time I got done with that, I felt like I was validated as a musician. Such an accomplishment to play like a full 2 hour show and just play it as it's written. That's the deal.
Yeah. Right.
And such a different animal than what I had been doing playing with bands and everything. It was so much fun. And holy shit, it kicked my ass though. I mean, like I did Susical, right? Susical is every character sings in a different key. So you're
Yeah.
changing keys 6, 7 times in a song. So it was amazing, but tons of fun. And they still ask me every once in a while. My life's a lot more busy now, so I don't have as much opportunity. But when I can, I like to play with the kids
Oh,
and sitting with the orchestra at school, which
that's
is so
very
much fun.
cool.
They take me to task. They're like, Mr. Bagnall, that's a B flat. Oh crap, yeah, because they read all the time. But it's exciting because
Yeah.
they get stoked too. They see something like me, and they're like, you're old, but you never lost your love for music. So that's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. I mean, it is. It really is. I mean, so tell me how the heavy metal band formed.
Well, that was really weird. This is funny because this happened right after the tendonitis with the funk band, and I basically retired. I said, you know what, I've done this. It was fun. I'm done with the band thing. I'm just gonna not bother anymore. And I saw that a buddy of mine took me to go see this band, and I saw him, and I just offhandedly said to him, dude, if I ever played heavy metal again, man, I would want to play in a band just like that. That's the style I'm looking for, man. And we laughed it off, no big deal. The singer
Yeah.
was a bass player, so I thought nothing of it. I'm like, I'm never going to play with that. So anyway, after I had decided I was going to give it up, this buddy that took me to the show calls me and he says, "Hey man, I just joined that band that you really liked a lot." I was like, "Whoopie doo, dude. You're great. You have a bass player. That's awesome. I'll come see you guys." And he says, "No, you need to buy a guitar again." And I'm like, "I haven't played guitar in years, dude." He's like, "You can," and I know you can do this. And there's a side story here that goes with how he knew I could do this. So he convinced me he wants to do like a dual lead Thin Lizzy, Judas Priest, Iron Maiden type of thing with this band. So he convinces me to go out and buy a rig. At the time, I had enough disposable income. So I got out, I buy an SG, I buy an orange half stack, totally metal. I'm ready to go. And I start
That's awesome.
working on it again. So he gets me the demo of the tunes and I shed the hell out of them and I learn them. And I go to audition and they're like, dude, you, you already know all the stuff. Let's do it. Let's start rocking. And, it just, it was started off, it was fun doing gigs and everything. And then one day I just got a wild hair up my ass and I wrote my first heavy metal song, the first time I had written in years, anything.
Yeah.
And I sheepishly played the demo for them and they were like, dude, this is fantastic. We're doing it. And that lit the fire under me to start being creative all the time. And then I started writing like crazy and, coming up all kinds of cool guitar riffs and dual harmony parts and all stuff. And it just kind of went from there. And, that band as well had a couple of drummers we went through, but we've had the same drummer for probably a decade now. So we're good there. But
Oh, that's cool.
yeah, it's really interesting. And the kid who got me in the band, he ended up moving to Texas and leaving the band. And this is great. This is pretty interesting. And then we hired a guy to play with us, really serendipitously. Um, the kid who left the band started corresponding with this guitar player from this 80s metal band that lived in Connecticut. And so he just corresponded with the dude. And the kid had said, "Oh yeah, I heard your demo, and it was pretty good. I love your guys' stuff." At the same time, the guy who produces our stuff called us and said, "Hey man, I got this guy down here who's making a record of like these big long epic doom metal songs. You guys should get him to replace the guy that's leaving." Well, it just so happens they're the same dude.
That's
Oddly
amazing,
enough,
dude.
though, he comes down and checks us out and wants to join the band. Now, the side note and the really cool part about this is when I was in middle school, okay, there was three bands from Connecticut who got signed to labels and were like, to my middle school mind, rock stars. There was the band Obsession, there was the band
Uh-huh.
Fate's Warning, and the band Liege Lord. Well, it just so happens that this dude who we're vying to get into our band was the original guitar player in Fate's Warning and played on their first two records. So to
Wow.
me, this is like a childhood hero. We're trying to get
That's
this guy to
cool.
play. And I'm like, there's no bleeping way this guy is joining our. I mean, no, there's no way this is going to happen. And he loved our stuff, and he's been with us ever since. He's been with us for like
That's
8
too
years.
cool.
It's so crazy. It's so funny because every once in a while we'll be doing like a lead harmony together, and I'll just kind of look over at the other side, and just start giggling to myself. I'm like, holy shit! If 13-year-old me knew that I'd be playing with this guy, it would have blown my mind. Oddly enough,
Yeah.
even the last gig we did, we had the original bass player from Fate's Warning come up because his son's a good friend of the band and everything, and so they came up and we did an old Fate's Warning tune together with the bass player and original guitar player, and the singer was in the audience, but he was like, "Nah, you guys just do it without me." So most of the original band was there, and we played one of their old songs, which is kind of a cool moment for me, being a kid who was so enamored with them. You know, they were the local rock stars when I was a kid. So
Right.
cool.
Yeah, that's totally cool, man. That's so wild.
You know,
It's
yeah,
like it just goes to show you what a small world that we really
yeah,
live in.
yeah.
You know, like it just blows me away. It blows me away, like how people find other people now. How you can, I do collaborations with this guy, Badass Brutus Guitar. His name is Bert, but he lives in the Netherlands.
Oh, no shit.
But his channel on here is Badass Brutus Guitar, and I've been collabing with him now for years. And all he does is he sends me his thing. I just do my thing and send it back to him, and then he mixes it and puts up the video. And I'm like, dude, that is just awesome. I love it. So
Yeah,
much fun. It's so easy to do.
yeah, yeah. Well, even like during COVID, we would do that. We record stuff and send it back for demos, back and forth stuff. But that only lasted so long. And then it's
Right,
funny. The band, we definitely had a COVID plan. Our rehearsal space, we set it up so we were all spaced far apart. And so once we'd still get together and just write because we weren't going to gig anywhere. And then
right.
anytime we were at home, we would just send videos of riffs. And so, hey, work on this for next time or do that. So everybody be on the same page.
Yeah, yeah. That's very cool, man.
It's made the world a lot smaller, though. It really has. The stuff you're able to the communicate the whole the fact right now we're communicating across the country at this point without a second thought. This was 30 years ago. This is no way this would have or would have cost us so much money in long distance charges. It would have been ridiculous.
Right, right, right. Like, yeah, we could never have done this, years ago. I mean, like, look, Chris found me through the New Times. I placed an ad to the New Times. He answered it. He came over to my apartment when I was living, behind the KFC over on Indian School Road in Hayden, back behind the park there.
Yeah.
I was living in the condos or townhomes back there, and still teaching at the guitar shop in Old Town. And that's actually how I hooked up with that one band that was the headliners that got us our first gig.
Oh, okay.
They actually lived down the street from me.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, I used to go over to their house and jam, and they were like, I don't know if you remember, but they were like thrash metal.
No kidding.
Yeah, so like, yeah, I'd be like this, like Jimmy paging over in their house while they're doing thrash metal. It was kind of ridiculous, but cool, and it was just like, it's good to play with other people from all walks of life. That's all
Yeah.
I've got to say. You know,
Yeah.
um, it was a cool experience, and had I not done that, we never would have gotten that gig. I never would have gone down to do the radio premiere with them too. Um, you didn't go do that with me.
No, no,
What
I
they
don't. Why I have no idea why I didn't, but
Because I think it was like they wanted like just the heads of the different bands
oh,
there.
okay, yeah,
That way. So they're like, yeah, there's only so much time, and like I think my time was like not even 15 to 30 seconds of speaking on air. It was just like, yeah, so how do you know them? I live down the street from them. I go over to their house and play, and then we met through the guitar shop that I teach guitar lessons at. And the lady DJ was just like, "Really?" I'm like, "No, I lied about everything just now."
that's kind of
um,
I got hooked up with the kids that I was playing with. That how I met Chris, that band that auditioned Chris. I was coming home from an audition from another band that really didn't go over well with, and I was loading my gear into my apartment, and a kid from another apartment was coming out, and he was like, "You play bass?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Hang on." And he ran in the house and called his buddy and said, "Are you still looking for a bass player? There's a kid in the apartment across the way here who's playing a bass." And that's how I ended up hooking up with them, and everything went on from there.
that's cool. Do you ever? I gotta ask you because he was just here in town, and I tried to mend fences with him. I was unsuccessful, but do you remember like when we would go jam at the Blue Note and like JD Simo would show up with his like do you even remember it? He didn't go by JD back then. He went by he went by just Jeff Simo. But he was like a Stevie Ray Vaughan wannabe back then. He was like 14 years old. His mom would like
Yeah,
take him around like she was like the colonel, and it was like the colonel and Elvis going around.
yeah, yeah,
And he would try and like come up and talk to me, and I was just like, dude, get away from me. So, but I mean, you remember him being in the place and
yeah.
playing.
It was like she would try and like force everybody to let him play with them.
Yes, thank you,
Yeah.
thank you. Okay, so I just want my subscribers to know that I'm not full of shit.
No, 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 no. That was very much the case. She was very much trying to push the kid on everybody. Like, no, play. You need to play with him. You need to play. He's great. You need to play with him. Type of thing.
Yeah,
I think she was trying to make her own Joe Bonamassa, but it wasn't gonna work.
she took, yeah, I mean, it was like a whole thing. It was a whole scene, and I just was just like, no, I don't
We're
want you
gonna be
anywhere near me. I mean, because here we were trying to do something serious and like get from here to the next level. Like that was the goal. Like I wanted us to be like the next government mule or whatever it
Yeah, we
was.
wanted people to see what we had, not what he had.
Right, right. And I remember your biggest influence back then, I think, was Martin Medeski and Wood.
Oh, I was really into them at the time. Yeah, yep,
Yes, yes. And I was very into the government mule.
yeah.
So we had our competing trios of jammage there.
And what's funny now is I can't remember. Well, I can't remember the last time I seen Medeski Martin Wood, but I see Government Mule anytime they do New Year's in New York City every year. So
Yeah.
I will catch them a lot of times, and they record in Connecticut, as a matter of fact, as well. The what used to be, I think it's a Power Station New England or something they call it now. They changed the name, but um, he lives in the city, so he's up around this area all the time. He
Well,
gigs with his band like at least 3 or 4 times a year. He's in Connecticut.
uh, I think he's actually from there.
Well, now he might
Maybe,
be
yeah. I don't know if he um where he grew up exactly.
down south. I think he's a I want to say He's like a North Carolina kid. I think he's from like
Okay,
the North Carolina Asheville area in North
yeah,
Carolina.
that sounds about right. Because ultimately he wound up hooking up with Dickie Betts,
Bets, yeah. Hmm.
and through like David Allen Coe, and sort of played that scene. And from there, he wound up getting into the Allman Brothers through working with Dickie Betts. So, um, but I spent a good bit of time when I owned my music shop.
Hmm.
I spent some time with Warren.
Yeah, that's right. You were because you sold the Matchless amps he was into at the time, right? Wasn't that?
I sold Matchless. I sold Victoria. Well, I had a signature amp with Victoria,
Oh, cool.
and I showed that to him personally speaking. Like personally, like
Yeah.
he would be like 2 feet from me. I'd be adjusting the knobs on the amp, and he'd just be playing. That was one of our interactions. A couple of our other interactions dealt with another amplifier line because he had ties with them. Like I can't go too into it other than that, basically.
Yeah.
Because there was a whole thing. But it was like awesome. 'Cause, I like got to hung out with one of my heroes. I mean, you knew how much I love that guy way back when we were playing. I mean, like, and definitely what they say is very true. Be careful when you meet your heroes, man. They may not turn out to be the person that
You
you
think?
think they
Yeah.
are. Yeah, I've learned the hard way. But ultimately, you know what? Warren's a great guy. I have nothing but good things to say about him, and I had such a great time meeting and interacting with him. Derek Trucks, few others here and there. But it was cool. Like, what other business could I have done that in other than being in rock and roll?
Yeah, yeah,
It doesn't matter what side of the stage you're on. You're getting to be with those people that you've longed to meet. It's a very cool thing.
yeah.
Um, so at this point, tell the people where they can find you and what you're working on.
All right. Currently, the band Entierro, Entierro, it's Spanish for burial, which is not the original name of the band, but somebody threatened to sue us. We had some uh, screamo band had the name, and we're like glad to just say keep it. But yeah, Entierro is the name of the band. We're currently working on our next maybe a full length, maybe an EP. We're in the writing stages. Like I said, we got 4 tunes that are in the polishing stages right now. We'll probably do at least a couple more. We're probably, hopefully, looking to record in the springtime. So that's kind of how we do things here. Because in the wintertime, you don't want to go places. So we batten down the hatches and write in the winter. Spring, we'll try and get some time in the studio if our producer's available because he's a busy musician too. He tours and all that stuff. So we
Yeah.
got to find time when he's home. And I'm hoping if all goes well, we'll have something new on in the fall. And of course, our main place is Bandcamp, or we're on Instagram, NTRL
Oh,
Metal. Um, we have a
yeah.
Facebook, I think. I haven't been on it in a while, but we
I
haven't moved
but
into TikTok
Insta,
yet, though.
yeah, Insta is your main social though, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's where I follow you on.
We will probably break down and do the TikTok when we do our new release. It's one of those things we talk about, but like we're not young folks anymore, so we don't spend a ton of time on social media. And let's face it, it's I just don't have the time to put into it. I have a lot of friends who their bands are constantly promoting every day, every day, every day, and
Yeah.
just don't have it in me.
I did TikTok once, and I was just like overwhelmed with it.
Yeah.
So I quit the platform. and did this and chose to like focus more on this in Instagram. But this has become my main thing.
Yeah. Well, that's right. We do have it. Speaking of, we have a YouTube channel as well.
Okay.
NTRO. I think it's NTRO Metal.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I think it's NTRO Metal, where we have basically what's nice is every time we put something out digitally, they automatically do the like the each cut goes into YouTube. I think there may be there definitely are videos that were released because we released a
Oh,
couple of
okay.
videos.
Okay,
Um,
good.
most are lyric videos, but we did do one pro shot video. A buddy of our singers lives in LA now and works in the industry in film and television, and so he came back and hooked us up and did all the filming and then edited it when he was home again. But a video off our not the past EP but the EP before that. But yeah, we're slow at putting stuff up, but when things start to cook, we're way more active online, you know. But right now, we're kind of slow with that stuff.
Well, I mean, it's still winter,
Yeah,
so I imagine once things thaw out and life starts to take hold again in Connecticut, you will get more active, right?
yeah, absolutely. Usually around April and May, we start gigging again, and we'll play through the summer up until probably November. That's just the way it is around here. Because we used to book all winter long, and then you'd have like a great gig lined up, and you get a foot of snow, and everything just goes to crap. So, you can only do that so many times, and you're just like, it's not worth bothering with booking in the winter because you don't know what the weather's going to do to to screw your show over. So we'll
Very
wait for the nicer weather so we know it's going to be all right.
absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so my last question for you.
Yes.
What is the worst gig you've ever played?
Oh God, worst gig.
And then you can tell me the best one, and that'll wrap up our show.
All right. Worst gig I ever played. I'm trying to think because I don't normally have a lot of bad gigs to remember. Um. Oh, yes. Okay. This is not really the worst, but it's just a funny occurrence that was kind of odd. Um. No, actually, well, I guess it was. I was playing with a punk band called the Commotions at the time, and we got the opportunity to open for the Ramones. This is back in the early '90s,
Okay.
and sold out show. The opening act that was supposed to be there, their van broke down, so last minute they got local support, so they called us. We showed up to do the gig, and the the main songwriter, the guitar player, decided on a whim that night to change the set list order. We had always been rehearsing it in a certain order, and that night, for some reason, like I want to switch this around. And the drummer wasn't paying attention, and we
Oh
were
boy.
everything was going swimmingly well. And then we went to play like the fourth tune, and the drummer started the wrong song, and it was like bam, collapse, and
Oh,
that happened. Um, and so that kind of we had to stop and start over again in front of a sold out crowd. And it was like, well, you know what the hell are you going to do? I'm sure it bothers me more than it does anybody who saw it there, but that was the only time that kind of thing happened to us. The best show though, I don't. The last show I just did actually, like I said, we had some of the members of Fates Warning play with us, and we opened for Liege Lord. That was a good one. Um, but you know what? That's probably not the best one. The best one was the best one was definitely the first year in Worcester, Massachusetts. They have a traditional heavy metal festival um, called the Stormbringer Festival,
mm,
and just on a whim, I saw that they were booking this, and they were looking for a couple bands, and they had like there's actually a pretty big underground movement right now in the states with it's called the new wave of traditional heavy metal. Basically, bands who sound like 1982 before
okay.
hair metal. It's like real metal before like your Judas Priest, your Iron Maidens, your Sabbaths, your before Motley Crue ruined everything. Bands that actually played great music and it wasn't about the image and all that. Anyway, so this kid who plays drums in a band called Adamantis decided to book his own 2-day festival in Worcester and booked all these fantastic bands from that scene. And so on a whim, I was like, let me just call the kid and see. And he put us on the bill for the thing. We got to open for all these great bands from all over the country, bands that had reformed, that hadn't played together since the late 80s. And it was an absolute packed house of like serious heavy metal freaks, and it was like 1983 again, banging
Awesome.
heads and like the whole audience going wild. It was so much fun. It felt like I was like transformed back to the 80s. It was great.
That's very cool. That's
Yeah.
very cool.
And in terms of the band, it exposed us to like a thousand extra people we never met before.
Right.
Maybe I'm exaggerating on the number because but at least like a few hundred that had never seen us before finally knew who we were. So that kind of ruled.
All right. That's very cool. That's very cool. Well, thank you very much, Chris, for doing this. I really appreciate it. I know it's later for you,
I
so
know. Yeah, I got to get up at 5:30. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be dead in the morning.
sorry, brother.
Hey, what are you gonna do?
Um, I really appreciate you coming on the show. It was
Oh,
great
it's fun,
catching up
man.
with you. Keep in touch. If you want to come back, you're always welcome.
Dude, thanks, man. It was a great time getting to talk to you after all these years. They now are these folks all aware that it's been 30 around 30 years since we played together, man. So it's been quite a few. Some time has passed, man.
A little bit, a little
Yeah.
bit. I mean, we look, both of us look very different now,
Oh, holy shit! Yes. I
but it's
look
all
like
good.
three of me from then.
I was thinking, I get Negan from The Walking Dead
Yeah.
like every day. I was thinking like you sort of reminded me of Brian Posehn.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. The comedian.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You guys could be. I think you could probably be a stunt double. You might want to look into getting some extra cash on the side. He's a huge metalhead, by the way. Did you
I
know
know,
that?
but
Yeah.
I don't think they're gonna have him do any stunts, man.
No, no. All right, man. It was great. It was great catching up with you.
Thanks for
Love
having me,
having you
brother.
on.
All
You're
right,
very
take care,
welcome.
everybody.
Thank you for coming. All right,
No,
take
see
care.
ya
All right. Bye bye, Chris.
later, man.
Thank you. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Thank you all for being here. I really appreciate y'all. Do you have any questions before I sign off? Because I'm still here. Any questions before I take off? You want to hear, dude? I already played guitar today, man. This wasn't about that. Conversations about gigs and guitars is a different thing, man. So come back tomorrow and I'll play. In the meantime, you can check out all the videos below, all the shorts, everything. Hey, Dr. Eggman. Hey, Marianne. Hey, Mike. Hey, Braden. Hey, Stereo Stupid. Good to see you. Hey, Jaden. Hey, Lucas. Hey, Degny. If you guys want to hear guitar, go over and see Guitar Guy ATX. Hey, Grayson. Hey, Lo-Fi. Or Lofi. Helena. All right, Michael. Thank you guys for showing up this evening. Hey, Romeo. What's happening? All right. Well, it's late for me. I'm going to go have some dinner. And then I'll check into Guitar Guy ATX's room before I say goodnight. Yes, we talked about Randy Walker. All right. Thanks, Deb. I appreciate you. We'll talk to you later tomorrow. Um, have a good night, everybody. Be good to yourselves. Be good to the ones around you. Hang loose. Love you guys. Thank you all for being in my dreams. If you are new to the channel, please like, please subscribe. We'll catch you tomorrow for the noonday stream. All right. Be there, be square. Love you guys. Have a good night. Bye bye.